Welcome to another episode of Purpose Today. I'm your host, Dr. April Dobson, and I'm very excited about this new episode of Purpose Today. And if you're joining live, I ask that you just type in the chat what country you're joining from. On today, I'm going to talk about a brand new topic: purpose aligned growth, development plans that change your trajectory. And if you want to grow in your career, you want to grow professionally, and you want to ensure that you're putting yourself on a path to continue growth and develop to match your goals, then you'll want to stay tuned and stick through to the end, because I'm going to give you some strategies that you can use for your personal and professional growth. We'll also talk about how you can utilize AI tools to help you to formulate your development plan. So don't go anywhere. Stay tuned after these special messages as we talk today about purpose-aligned growth, development plans that change your trajectory. I'm so excited. Please put in the chat where you're joining from. And I would love to answer any questions that you have regarding your professional development and growth and remaining purpose aligned so that you can change your trajectory. So think about where you want to be and what you need to do to get there. And we will be back after these special sponsorship messages.
Dreaming of writing a book, launching a podcast, or creating a digital course? Ready to finally align your career, creativity, and impact? The Purpose Aligned Life Premium Coaching Cohort is here to help you turn purpose into reality. You'll receive tailored services, a personalized one-on-one assessment, 10 weekly group sessions, and exclusive strategy session, all for your desired transformation.
And if you're interested in registering for the Purpose Aligned Life Premium Group Coaching Program, then feel free to use the link in the YouTube chat to schedule your Zoom interest session for the Purpose Aligned Life Premium Group Coaching Program. This program allows you the opportunity to have the structure. You can accelerate your timeline to author a book, launch a podcast, and start a coaching program. Now, today I'm very excited, super excited about jumping into a brand new topic. And it's so important to ensure that we're positioned for growth in our career and growth personally. And so ensuring that we're able to grow and remain focused on what our goals are is going to require intention. So I encourage you to start by having your goals written down. You want SMART goals, and we're going to talk specifically about a strategy that you can utilize to ensure that you change the trajectory of your career, of your life, and doing that while remaining purpose aligned. So for those of you who are tuning in, if you don't mind dropping in the comments where you are tuning in from, I would love to see which country you're tuning in from. If you're in the US, which state you're tuning in from. Would love to know where you all are connecting from on today. I know that last week we spoke about a different topic on last week, and there were so many questions that came in during the live. I want to make sure that I have an opportunity to answer all of the questions that any of you might have. So feel free to put those questions in the chat as we talk about having the opportunity to have purpose-aligned growth and development plans that change your trajectory. And so on today, I know that there are so many tools that are out there to help with learning. You have options to have virtual learning, you have the option to have in person learning, there's hybrid opportunities. And so I won't cover everything, but I want to make sure that I talk about some resources and some approaches that you can use that are at your disposal. And I want to talk about a variety of options because everybody is different. Everybody has different learning styles, everyone has different preferences, and also with different schedules and varying commitments, it may not be easy, even if you prefer to have an in-person course or workshop. Sometimes our schedules just demand that we limit our in-person workshops, our in-person training and engagement. So I want to provide options tonight that will be available both online, and I want to give some strategies that you can utilize to search for development opportunities. And as I mentioned earlier, I'll also talk about integrating AI tools that you can use to help with your development planning. And so I see that there are so many comments already in the chat. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in. So the first thing that you should be doing before you even begin to formulate your development plan for your life is to sit down and write down SMART goals. You want to ensure that you're specific with what you want to achieve that is purpose aligned. So you want to include exactly what it is that you want to achieve. You want to include the specifics of what you want to achieve. What location is involved for your desired goal, all of the details, right? Then you want to make sure that whatever that goal is, you have a way to measure the goal so that you're able to see where you are, track where you are, and that's important. And having a development plan is going to help you to track the different options when we get to that in terms of your training and track where you are. You want to also make sure that the SMART goal that you have, that it's something that you can attain. You want it to stretch you, but you want to ensure it's something that is attainable. And then you want to make sure that you know how it is relevant for your life overall, how it fits into your big picture, and then you want to have a timeline. That is important. So once you figure out what your SMART goals are, then you want to identify what is necessary to align with those SMART goals. I know the comments are already coming in, but I want to at least set the framework so that you're aware of the approach that you want to use to create your personal or professional development plan. And so once you've identified those SMART goals, then you identify what do you need to ensure that you can achieve those goals. What do you have and what do you need? I know that for me, I have spoken with so many professionals. I've also coached a lot of professionals who have a desire to pivot and shift from where they are to where they desire to be. I can think back to my experience transitioning from the Air Force, and many of you who are watching might be veterans, and for those of you who aren't veterans, you probably at some point in your lifetime needed to make a shift in your career from one thing into something else. So you want to assess for your goal, what is it that you have and what is it that you need. So I will take, for instance, when I made the career pivot from Intel into HR, I had some experience from a special duty assignment that I had when I was in the Air Force. Well, some of those things weren't going to be relevant in the private sector or in the public sector as a civilian. So I had to assess what did I have and what did I need. And after my assessment, I decided that one of the things that I needed was more education. So I made it a point to register for workshops, to also, I chose to do a human resources management degree program. And certainly in some cases, you may not need to do a formal program. Some cases may require a certification. I have many people who I have as friends and people who I've even coached and consulted with who needed to have a PMP certification. So you want to ensure that you have that clear assessment on what you have and what you need, what the gaps are. And once you identify the gaps, then you can start creating a list of courses, and we'll get into how you can use AI tools to find some courses as well. And we're going to talk about LinkedIn Learning and a lot of other things. So at least now that I have the framework and you have an idea of what is necessary to do as your first and second steps, I want to get into answering some of the questions that you have put in the chat. So thank you so very much, Jim, for sharing that positive feedback that this is a great show and great conversation. I do appreciate that. So I have a question, and I'm going to actually put my glasses on because I can see how do you identify the skills that best align with your God-given purpose. But I just wanted to make sure I was clear on who was actually asking the question. So Sinette, hopefully I'm saying that correctly. So Sinette had a question: how do you identify the skills that best align with your God-given purpose? So that's a great question. In terms of identifying the skills that best align with your God-given purpose, what you can do once you're aware of your God-given purpose, then you can actually start doing a reflection and doing research of what is needed for that particular purpose. And so I'm going to just give an example of, people who I have worked with. One particular person who I have coached, for her, it's important to ensure that she equips people with the tools to know who they are, their identity, to also be able to have healthy relationships. So in terms of healthy relationships and knowing their identity, skills that are necessary to help people with that. One of those skills is communication. You have to be able to communicate effectively in order to help people with the process of self-discovery, knowing their identity. So communication is key. Another tool that is key is being able to have good listening skills. Also, analytical skills are necessary for that. Also having the ability to develop others. These are just some examples. But one of the things that you can do after you've brainstormed and you've exhausted, all of the things that you know to list in terms of skills, you can also reach out to a mentor and, let them know, this is what I am working on doing. This aligns with my purpose. These are the skills that I've identified. What other skills are necessary? So that's another way. Another approach that you can use is to do research, right? You can actually do research, put in what it is that information on your purpose, and you can ask, what are key skills that are needed for X? Right? So those are some approaches that you can utilize to identify the skills that best align. So great question, Sinette. Thank you so much for asking that. And thank you everyone for tuning in on today. There are also assessments that you can take to help you with that as well. So I see Bradley has a question. What's the first step in creating a development plan that truly fits your purpose? Great question, Bradley. So the first step is putting down those SMART goals that align with your purpose. And then once you've put down the SMART goals that align with your purpose, then assess what you have. So I'm actually giving you more than one step. Listing what you have. This is what I have. This is what I'm capable of doing. And then listing the gaps. These are the gaps that I have. Once you've identified the gaps, now you can start creating the development plan to address those gaps. You want to prioritize what you want to work on first. And then also I want to say this too, and I know I mentioned gaps. Sometimes you may not necessarily have a gap, that you need to fill. Everything on your development plan may not always be a gap. In many instances, you're strengthening what you already have. And I'll give a good example of that. So one example, and I'll give a personal story. So this is the second year of the podcast. I started the podcast because God told me to start a talk show back in 2024. So this is year 2. And initially, when I started Purpose Today with Dr. April Dobson, I was exclusively on the Daily Gospel Network, and I expanded and then started streaming to YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So now I don't know where you all are watching live from, which platform you're on, but I am live and I'm simultaneously doing the live and streaming it to Facebook, to YouTube profiles, and to LinkedIn. So what I would say is that sometimes, and I'm sorry I didn't turn my ringer off, but sometimes those things that are in your development plan aren't necessarily gaps, and there's strengths that you have that you do need to just further develop. So I'll give an example. So again, this is year 2 of the Purpose Today with Dr. April Dobson podcast. Last year was the first year that I attended Podcast Summit in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm so grateful for Mr. David Shands for hosting an excellent podcast summit last year and this year, and I'm sure all the other podcast summits that I was not aware and privy to were excellent as well. It was an amazing summit. So many excellent speakers, and I gained so many valuable insights. Now, public speaking wasn't a gap. Being able to host a podcast wasn't a gap, but it was an area that I wanted to ensure that I continued to develop in. And I gained so many insights from Podcast Summit. And so thank you again, David Shands, for hosting an amazing podcast summit and really equipping so many podcasters, content creators, and individuals from around the world and all over the U.S. To be even better at what we're doing. So that's just an example of how you can include something on your development plan that may not be a gap that you can further strengthen. So great question, Bradley. So just to recap on those steps, step number 1 is to create your SMART goals that align with your purpose. Step number 2 is write down your strengths and your gaps that you have. And then step 3 is determine what you want to actually focus on. And then step 4, prioritize what is important for you to do first. And then the final step would be to actually start seeking the courses, the training, the workshops, the summits, the degree programs, whatever the case may be. And some of your development plan will simply be to read certain books. And so you want to ensure that you're including all of those elements in your development plan. So great question, Bradley. I think I may have skipped a question, but I did put that link for anyone who was interested in the Purpose Aligned Life Premium Group Coaching Program. Thank you so very much for sharing that compliment. Such a powerful discussion. How can we make sure our development goals stay connected to our deeper purpose? So great question. I appreciate you, Rot Jr., for asking that question. If you start by writing down the SMART goals that align with your purpose, and you start there, and then proceed to identifying what your strengths are, what your gaps are, and then discovering what areas you need to actually incorporate into your development plan, and then identifying the courses, the books, all of that. If you start first by creating SMART goals that are purpose aligned, that helps you to ensure that your development plan and your goals stay connected to your deeper purpose. The second thing that you can do to ensure that your development goals and your development plan stays connected to your deeper purpose is to have reflection. You want to have daily reflection, and then you also want to have a reflection on the actual courses or books or workshops or summits, whichever you are including in your development plan. Have a reflection on what you intended to gain from the actual course or book or summit, workshop, whatever it is, even YouTube videos and LinkedIn Learning. You want to indicate the objective, what you wanted to gain, how it's purpose aligned, and then you want to reflect. You want to put your completion date and then reflect, what did you gain from it? And you want to reflect on whether or not it aligned with your SMART goals that were purpose aligned. That's how you help to ensure that your development plan and your development goals stay connected to your deeper purpose. So thank you for that excellent question. I see a question: how often should we review and update our personal development plan? Great question. So you want to ensure that you are updating your development plan each time that you complete an activity that's on your development plan. So if it's a book, if it's a course, whatever it is, but at a minimum, you want to review it on a monthly basis at a minimum and make adjustments as necessary. But you want to ensure that every time you have an activity, so let's just say you listed on your development plan that you were going to read The Autonomous Career, Freedom of Time and Space in Your Chosen Workplace, and that was listed, and you put why you were going to read that book, how it aligned with your SMART goals, your purpose aligned SMART goals. Then once you have completed reading that book, you want to actually reflect. You want to annotate when you completed the book. You want to annotate what you gained from the book, and you want to reflect on how it aligned with whatever the purpose aligned SMART goals was. So great question, Juan. Thank you so much for asking it. So Jim has a question or a comment. Fantastic show. The connection between purpose and impact is powerful. Thank you so very much, Jim, for that compliment. So as we're talking today, and certainly if you have a question and you haven't asked your question, please feel free to drop your question in the chat, and you can put it in the chat on any platform. If you are on the Dr. April D. Dobson YouTube channel, you can put your question there. If you're watching from LinkedIn or Facebook or the Purpose Today channel, please feel free to drop your question in the comments. But we're talking about purpose aligned growth, development plans that change your trajectory. And when you focus on ensuring that you start first with creating a SMART goal that is purpose aligned, that will help you to ensure that as you reach the step that you need to identify the actual activity that's necessary, that you're doing so in a manner that will allow you to be intentional and that will allow you to have success that is purpose aligned success. The goal really is to, as you are having these purpose aligned development activities, is that you continue to develop yourself in such a way that you can continue to make an impact on people who you are called to impact. So I do appreciate all of your comments, all of the amazing feedback that you all have given. And I just want to take the time to thank you all for tuning in on today. If there are any other questions that you have regarding purpose aligned growth and being able to establish a development plan that will help you to change the trajectory of your life, your career, please feel free to drop those in the chat. I'm going to transition now. I want to quickly share just some tools and some resources. I know I indicated that I would do that. So I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes on showing you how you can actually utilize AI tools to help you to seek courses. So this is what I'm going to do. I have not tested this particular prompt out, but I've tested other prompts before, and I do believe that because I've tested other prompts before, then this will be. So I am going to, I'm going to actually share my screen, and I'm going to start with ChatGPT. I want you all to see this as I am doing this. I'm going to put that I have a podcast and I want to complete personal and professional development courses, read books, and attend summits as well as workshops to strengthen I'll do that as a podcast host. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, please provide recommendations that I can add to my development plan, and what you want to be sure to do, and include sources for this information, because you want to ask for the sources to ensure that, because sometimes AI can make errors. So you want to ensure that it is accurate. So hopefully you all can see my screen. ChatGPT is working, and give it some time. I'm going to just copy this. It's searching the web, so you can see it's at work. And I should have also compared this to the AI agent and Go High Level, but for sake of time, I'm going to let this just search the web, and we're going to come back to this tab later. It's searching the web. I want to make sure that I value everyone's time for everyone. So while it's searching the web, I'm going to go and we're going to take a look at LinkedIn Learning. I want to show you the resources that you can use for LinkedIn Learning. So I'm going to I'm gonna put ChatGPT in a off the so let's do well, let me do, okay, so it won't let me do a different window. So I'm gonna have to go back to the ChatGPT, and I'll have to switch to my LinkedIn Learning tab. So let me just see if it will switch the screen. So I'm gonna have to actually stop sharing and then share again so that you can see my LinkedIn Learning tab while that is working. So let me share my LinkedIn Learning tab, because I want to show you how you can utilize LinkedIn Learning. So I will show you the LinkedIn Learning. Now, what LinkedIn Learning will automatically do is it's going to give you your top picks based on what's in your LinkedIn profile. So if you have not updated your LinkedIn profile and you want to be more efficient with LinkedIn Learning, I would encourage you to update your profile so that LinkedIn Learning can give you recommendations that might be good for you, right? So these, and you can, so these are the top picks that it gives for me, right? Based on like my profile, right? But if you scroll down, you can actually choose categories, right? So there's a personal development. If you strictly just wanted to do something with personal development, you could choose that tab. If you wanted to look at something for communication, it can suggest options for communication. If for people who have an HR background, there's a HR strategy tab, there's a talent management tab. Now, I want to show you all this because I don't know if you all are aware, but there is an AI coaching tool within LinkedIn Learning. Now, I am the CEO of Purpose Today. I'm also a podcast host. I host Purpose Today with Dr. April Dobson. And so it automatically chose my retired because I am retired from the federal government. I retired in December of last year. So it automatically picked that one. So and again, this is personalized based on my profile. So it's gathering information from there. It is true that I'm retired, but it didn't read the other part for this AI coaching. So what you can do is you can actually ask a question. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my ChatGPT tab. You all can't see it. I'm going to actually copy my message from ChatGPT and I'm going to paste that same message into the LinkedIn Learning because I LinkedIn. And I'm going to change a podcast to I host a podcast. And so I'll probably have to change it on ChatGPT too so we can compare apples to apples. But as you can see, the LinkedIn AI coaching has already come up with a result, right? So it's telling me to strengthen my effectiveness as a podcast host. Personal and professional development can include learning about podcast production, technical skills, and distribution methods. So it's telling me what it involves. It has some content that it's found to develop my podcasting skills. So it's asking me to take a look at producing podcasts. It's taught by Danny Osment, and it's telling me that it covers the basics of podcast production. There's also an overview of really simple syndication. That is taught by Richard Harrington. And then we have Adobe Audition on editing podcasts and the multi-track editor. So as you can see, the AI coaching within LinkedIn Learning was a lot faster than ChatGPT, but it could have been because of the prompt. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to I'm going to stop sharing the LinkedIn Learning tab. I'm going to share my screen again to go back to the ChatGPT tab so that you can see that one. I'm going to change the prompt that I put within ChatGPT. I'm going to edit it because it's still searching the web, but I'm going to change this because I changed it on the LinkedIn Learning AI Coach. I'm going to change it to I host a podcast. And so now let's just see if ChatGPT can come up with a result a little bit faster. And it looks like it's still searching the web. And so we're going to come back to that one. And I want to show you something else on LinkedIn Learning. I want to make sure everyone knows how to get to LinkedIn Learning. I didn't start there, and please, thank you so much. I want to make sure I show you all how to go to LinkedIn Learning. And I see there's another question in the chat from Rob Thomas. Can a development plan help reveal skills we didn't realize we had? So to have by going through the course of the process of actually creating that purpose aligned SMART goal, assessing this is what you have, this is what you need, focusing on what you want to strengthen. When you start having those specific activities that are identified, as you're going through those activities, you might discover that you have skills that you didn't realize that you had. The development plan in and of itself may not reveal it, but the course of completing the activities that you list in your development plan will likely reveal some skills that you didn't realize that you had. So great question, Rob. And you're very welcome, Juan. Thank you so very much for that compliment. Juan says, thank you, Dr. April, for making purposeful development so practical and actionable. Thank you so very much. So what I want to do, since ChatGPT is still working, I want to, let me try also to refresh the tab, because it typically doesn't take this long to come up with a result, normally within output a stop sharing and share LinkedIn again, because I do want to show you all how to get to LinkedIn Learning. I don't want to assume that everyone knows how to access LinkedIn Learning, so I do want to share that, and then I will come back to the ChatGPT screen. So on this tab of my LinkedIn profile, so what you're going to do, you can use this drop down, and under my apps, if you go down to learning, that's where you can access LinkedIn Learning if you are using a desktop computer. So we already looked at the AI coaching. There is an AI role play if you want to go through that. The other thing, so here highlight that some resources and shortcuts that could be available to you are just recommendations that are within LinkedIn. So you can see tips on finding a mentor, business planning, or receiving feedback. These are all some things that are there. One of the things that I want to also just put in here is I want to put in creating a development plan. And I have never put this in LinkedIn Learning, so I don't know what it's going to come up with. Um, but I just wanted to put it in because I guarantee you most of the things that you're going to need professionally, you're going to be able to find on LinkedIn. It is the premier professional networking platform, and it also has so many resources for professionals. So almost any topic that you want to delve into, type it in on LinkedIn Learning. I'm sure you can find something. And just as I suspected, there is a talent development for managers to help you to actually craft development plans for individuals who you lead and supervise and manage. I'm not going to click on this, but I have a prior episode when I talked about creating development plans for individuals who you supervise. So use the resources that are there, they're available. And then also, there's so many things that are on YouTube. You want to use, I call it YouTube University, but that is an excellent resource. You can search on YouTube things as simple as how to unlock a certain screen. If your phone is locked or frozen on an iPhone, you can research that. Something as simple as that. You can research recipes. You can learn how to do. If you're someone who wants to work on your vehicle, there's so many different things that you can learn on YouTube. So take advantage of that resource. And then what I also want to do, I'm going to go back to ChatGPT. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to, because I'm thinking that there's a possibility this could just be going slower. So I'm just going to share my screen. So chat lost the connection, so I am just refreshing that one, and I will show you what ChatGPT came up with once it loads. So I'm going to actually start a new window for ChatGPT, and hopefully I'll be able to show you all a result here momentarily, and I'll check to see if there's any other questions that you all have. So I'm just going to re-enter the prompt into ChatGPT. Hopefully it will go ahead and search the web. It looks like it's actually, and it did, so I just needed to refresh the screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and I see there's a question or a comment that says purpose aligned growth is such an important topic. Really enjoying this live discussion. Thank you so much, Papa Lens. And I see Jim Carrey. What a great reminder to keep developing our skills with intention. Thank you so much, Jim, for that compliment. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen again so you can see, and I will actually copy that prompt and put it in the chat. And what you would do is you would just change the prompt. Instead of saying, I host a podcast, you would put whatever it is that you do that aligns with your purpose. And you can leave the, and I want to complete personal and professional development courses, read, it should say books. So let me just edit that real fast. I was talking and typing at the same time as I was talking with you all. But you can change it to whatever it is. And instead of I host a podcast, you can put whatever it is that you do that aligns with your purpose, right? I can even, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to post this. I'm going to post it just as I typed it, but you can change it to whatever you want it to be, but I'll put it in the comments so that you all have access to it. The other thing that I want to show you all while we are looking at ChatGPT, so you can see it gave me an actual list of recommendations, right, for my development plan. It tells me the categories for the development, right? And now it has already prioritized these things for me. You should actually be prioritizing this yourself because you know what's most important to you, right? But it can give you the result and it is most important for you, right? Interviewing, storytelling, audience development, podcast, business leadership, communication. And so it's giving the area, the recommendation, why it matters, and the priority, right? You could start by saying, the time, you could include the timeline if you wanted to do that. But this tells you the source of information because I put that in my prompt, right? So this has recommendations that it's providing based on the input. So now I'm going to actually change the prompt, right? Or put in a new prompt because I want you to show, I just want to show you the differences. So where I host a podcast, I'm going to actually say, I am, because one of the things that I do, I'm a career and success coach, right? I help professionals, let's see, align their life, business, and career with their purpose. I want to complete personal and professional development courses, blah, 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 blah. So, my effectiveness, I'm going to say, as a coach, because we should always be developing in every area of our lives, right? So I just changed that. And now you're going to see it's going to give me recommendations. So you see how quickly this did this? So you could, this could be a starting point, right? Or it could be you exhaust everything that you know that you want to do first, and then you do the second. But these are, now I want to switch the prompt, right? Actually, I don't want to copy the first prompt. I want to copy the second one. I'll copy this one. So I'm going to say, because I am a CEO, right? And I lead an organization that helps, and I had a typo, I'll fix it. That helps, right? All right, and then what I want to do, my effectiveness as a leader. So I just quickly showed you how you can use ChatGPT to help you with your professional and personal development plans, right? So this is just an example of how you can use the same prompt customized to you and what you want to do. And then we also earlier went through LinkedIn Learning. Like I said, you want to make sure your LinkedIn profile is updated so that it's giving you the right recommendations, right? Then we talked about the LinkedIn Learning AI coaching that is available. Now, I also mentioned, and I switched tabs, but the switch only showed on my end. But we also, I'm not going to go in and give examples, but as I mentioned earlier, you want to use YouTube for finding, you can find audiobooks that are sometimes on YouTube. You can find videos on how to do a myriad of things. So also use YouTube as well. Subscribe to the channels that are helpful for your growth, for your personal and professional and your spiritual growth. I do encourage you to do that. And I do believe that it is so helpful when we are intentional and we're purposeful about our growth and about our learning. So I appreciate all of you tuning in to today's episode of Purpose Today with Dr. April Dobson. And as we delved into this amazing topic that will help you all to position yourselves to continue to grow and change the trajectory of your career and of your life. So thank you for tuning in as we talked about purpose-aligned growth development plans that change your trajectory. It's been such a joy being able to engage with all of you. Thank you so much for viewing live, for your engagement, and for asking all these phenomenal questions that you've asked on tonight. And I just want to put that prompt on the screen again so that you all can see it and you can use it. And it's also in the chat so that you all can use it. I see that part of it is cut off on YouTube because the character count exceeded what is allowed. So I will go into ChatGPT and copy that second half able to use LinkedIn Learning, the AI coaching there, and that you can use ChatGPT or whatever your preferred platform is so that you can assist with formulating a development plan and saving time with doing that. So thank you all so much for tuning in. I do invite you to tune in to another episode of the Purpose Today with Dr. April Dobson podcast tomorrow at noon, and then on Tuesday of next week, and that these are all Eastern time. And on Tuesday of next week at 9 a.m. Eastern time, I'm excited that I have the pleasure of bringing back Mr. Herman Kelly to Purpose Today with Dr. April Dobson. And we actually are going to have a phenomenal discussion live. So I do encourage you to join us on Tuesday at 9 a.m. We're going to talk about purpose-driven leadership, building you and your wealth, part 2. Mr. Herman Kelly has some amazing insights that he is going to share. So you'll want to hear what he will be sharing on Tuesday. And I invite you to go ahead and mark your calendar if you haven't already subscribed to the Purpose Today with Dr. April Dobson podcast by subscribing to at Dr. April D. Dobson. I invite you to do that so that you don't miss any episode. Mr. Herman Kelly is going to be sharing amazing insights on how you can prepare your family for generational wealth, how you can make the greatest investment in yourself. He's going to also share information on the tax law to help you to utilizing unnecessary resources and funds by ensuring that you're utilizing the tax law appropriately. And so many great things that he is going to share. And so I do invite you to tune in on Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, right back here on YouTube. We'll also stream live to Facebook and LinkedIn as well. I do hope that I answered all of your questions on today. I'm just trying to look at the chat to ensure that I didn't miss anything. I think I answered all the questions. If there was something that I missed, please feel free to place those in the comments. And if for whatever reason I missed it, then certainly send an email to admin@purposetoday.com and I will be sure to include it on the next episode. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you all will tune in tomorrow at noon Eastern Time and on Tuesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Thank you for tuning in as we talk today about purpose-aligned growth, development plans that change your trajectory. Make it an amazing evening, a phenomenal weekend, and remember, stay purposed today and every day.
Dreaming of writing a book, launching a podcast, or creating a digital course? Ready to finally align your career, creativity, and impact? The Purpose Aligned Life Premium Coaching Cohort is here to help you turn purpose into reality. You'll receive tailored services, a personalized one-on-one assessment, 10 weekly group sessions, and exclusive strategy session, all for your desired transformation.